Today we're going to be talking about uh, morning and evening routines. Morning and evening routines. I thought this would be a great topic because we are in the middle of our Let's Talk Family series. So part of our, your family is your routine, your rhythms that you're in, that healthy families have. Hey, Robin. Robin said, hey, healthy families have routines. And so we wanted to share a little bit about our routine, some of the tweaks we've made over the years, both evening, night, maybe not just your family routine, but your personal routine, and all factors into it. So a couple people
Yeah,
come.
and I'm at the coffee shop today.
Yeah, that's part of your routine.
It is. That's our only office we have, so I kind of get my office flow. I know you and I do that together sometimes. So
Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as this is over, I'll come over. I'll come over there to the coffee shop and office with you. Part of my routine in the afternoons of Wednesdays is to do that. So,
I'm excited.
Pastor, why don't you share a little bit about what is some of the things that are in your personal daily routine that you have? What are some of your personal daily routines?
Well, I'm thankful that we get to, we're obviously a little unique. We're a nonprofit, and so we have some unique hours. And COVID's obviously built some changes into that. But one of the things I really try to do is just I look at my life segmented. I know you do this too, Pastor Jason. So I try to figure out, like, okay, what am I doing to stay healthy physically? What am I doing to stay healthy spiritually? What am I doing to stay healthy emotionally? All those types of things. And so
Yeah.
for me, one of the things I try to figure out is like when can I get to the gym? So I'll try to do it at least 3 times a week. I go to the gym. I'm weird about the gym. I'm not like the guy who likes to go with people. I don't like working out with people. So and maybe that might be the 7 inside of me, is the gym to me just reminds me of pain. So I don't want to hang out there and talk and have like a long conversation and go together. To me, that's weird. And so I'm trying to, at every aspect that I can, get in and get out. And so I do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I kind of go to the gym, and I get in and then I get out. So I went to the gym this morning, and then after the gym, I'll typically spend some time in the morning on Mondays and Wednesdays, especially, because I'm trying to do is figure out like how to stay just emotionally healthy. So I have personal time in the morning, and so I'll do some Bible reading. I'll do some studying. I like to do some studying. I try not to work. I try to do more like invest, listen to podcasts, read, do that kind of stuff. I try to invest in the morning. I know some guys are opposite of that. They like to work in the morning. They think they get their best work done in the morning. I'm not like that. And so at least I'm not like that in my current season. I try to say that, like, currently in my current season, it might change. Call me in 5 years, it might be different. Currently, my best work seems to be done in the afternoon. So then I'll get home, obviously go through some of those things. And then I'll go to the office. I try to be at the office from 12 to 5 is what I try to do, or 12 to 4-ish. Work and do sermons, do meetings, do connections, do stuff like that. That's when I do all my coffees, do all my breaks, all that kind of stuff. And then evening times are reserved for family. That's the biggest thing, except for on days when we're doing something for maybe once a week, I'll do a touch here with the church. So we do like Pastors Live. Grijalva's live with my wife on Mondays once a month. We'll do prayer. But I'm real stingy about that. And then I only do one dinner a week with staff, with church members. So I'll do coffees all day long, all week long. I typically try to do one dinner a week with the church members. If I don't make a limit, I'll go too many. I'll do everything. I'll never see my kids and my family. And then Fridays and Saturdays we're off. And I really try to make sure that those are off days. Since I don't do things, I don't schedule things. Try to make sure that those are hard off days for a lot of us. And Sunday we pretty much work. It's funny. It's hard about Sundays. Like we really work half the day, but then the rest of the day we're all recovering or trying to work. We're still working.
Yeah.
I know you work a lot on Sunday afternoon. Still, you're still recovering. Still trying to work things out.
Yeah.
And then Monday we're back to it. So that's kind of like my weekly routine. I would say in general, how I try to kind of keep my. Oh, I didn't get my Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday mornings I have staff. We have all staff meetings. Thursday afternoon, same kind of thing. I kind of do my meetings and work. And then Thursday mornings, same type of thing. I'll be a little more flexible my Thursdays. What I'm trying to do right now, PJ, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but what I'm trying to do now is figure out a time where I can actually have a moment of personal like hobby. And I've noticed Thursday afternoons are like our Friday afternoons. And I think you even told me this, like, I think studies show, like, for most businesses, like, Friday afternoons, like, productivity goes way down because everybody's waiting to get out.
Yeah.
And so I almost wonder if that would be better served doing something unique for my soul. And maybe that's fishing on Thursday, or going hitting the golf range, or doing something simple that just is I read a study that said healthy pastors, like 90% of healthy pastors have a hobby that they do something that takes them away and their minds out of building something.
That's good. That's good. It's a great routine. What are some specific things, I know you talk about in the evening, are there certain rhythms that you have with your family? You see this throughout scripture, that especially the book of Deuteronomy, as God was resetting his people, bringing them out of Egypt, he gave them rhythms of the day. What are some of the rhythms for your family, specifically, for your kids, your boys? What are some of the rhythms of daily things you do, or maybe weekly, or maybe they're not every day, but they're things that you do on a regular basis with them?
Yeah. So my family's unique. I think this is unique. I know your family's not like this, PJ, because of how Rachel's wired. But like one rhythm that we have is, I'm not a morning person, so I don't connect with my family. I'll see them, we're around and stuff like that, but I'm just not a morning person. My wife's typically, because we homeschool now, she's taking them. There's a set schedule for school. She's got them 8:30 to 2 or 3 or something like that, how she does it. And she kind of runs that thing. She kind of hits them in the morning. She gets early in the morning. She's running in the morning. She's got the kids going in a schedule. And I'm typically free to do what I need to do in that morning. But when I come home, it's dad time. And so that's really why we have a hard rhythm about that, is that I don't do meetings or coffees. I don't do evening time stuff, is because that's really my time with my kids. I cook at our house, so I love to cook. So I cook dinner. Because I love to do it, not because my wife won't or anything like that. So we feel like, hey, one of the rhythms in our life is it wasn't even really a compromise. It was just, we felt like, what are we best wired for? I love to cook. And so I want to cook dinner. So I cook dinner, so we don't fight about that. So when I get home, my wife gets a break. The kids are hanging out with me. They're playing outside. Sometimes they're helping me with dinner. We eat dinner. We try to do the best we can to be around the table. I'll say this, like, I used to think that was silly. Early when I was younger. I find it more valuable now, just being around a table. And and here's the funny thing about it. Sometimes it's not around the dinner table. Sometimes it's around the kitchen, like countertops, you know what I mean? Like the buffet area. Sometimes it's outside and we're all sitting around each other on the patio. It's just focused. I think what I mean by table is focused time on each other. Asking open-ended questions with my kids, talking to my wife, hearing my wife talk to me about different things, and having them talk to me about different things, and having just even if it's 5 minutes is better than no minutes. Yeah. So if I feel like I don't feel like it needs to be like, hey, we have to sit here for an hour and talk about our feelings, that stresses me out. Yeah. That's how I'm wired. So if I feel like I could sit down and it could be 5 minutes, or it could be 30 minutes, or it could be an hour, it could be whatever it is, but we did it. And so we're just committed to doing something like that most days. And then some days, we're starting a new rhythm this week where we'll be starting practice or sports with 2 of our 5 boys. And somebody asked me about that recently, and they said, why don't you put all the kids in sports? Shouldn't they all be in sports? Yes, but we're not willing to sacrifice our peace and freedom to put all 5 of them. Like, could you imagine that? Yeah. Like, taking all 5 kids, 5 different practices, 5 different things. We just got their schedule for baseball. They're both, so we're doing the 2 smallest ones this semester, and we're going to do the 2 older ones next semester. Yeah. Their practices are in 2 different areas at 2 different times around the city. Yeah. Their games are in 2 different areas and 2 different times around the city. So it's like, just that alone is it's a stress. It adds to our thing. And so we're okay with that for now, but like, we're not okay. We're not afraid of like, hey, if this thing don't work out, it don't work out. Kids don't, what kids need more than anything is routine and regular connections with people. And they do that with other ways. So we're trying to find a new routine for the weekends, and that's going to happen on in the evening times, and that's hard that we're trying to manage. But
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to figure it out. So that's a rhythm of our family. I cook dinner, she does the morning, I do the evening. I love putting my kids down to bed, and then we just started back. I know we did this with our kids, our Rice kids. We did this during the pandemic when everybody was in quarantine. We were reading the book Indescribable from Louis Giglio, his kids book. He came out with another one called How Great Is Our God, and it's the same format, and we love it. So we started that back up, and my kids, I'll tell you what, they ask every night, Dad, can we read this book? And it takes 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just a little thing about science and God, and I love it because there's a scripture, there's a little thought, and then there's a prayer that we pray at the end. And man, I feel like I did my duty as a dad, just to take a step. So something simple, that's kind of a rhythm of our family. And we just don't negotiate on it. We just, we don't negotiate with terrorists, and terrorists take over your world.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a weird thing that we are like that. I don't know. What about you guys? What y'all's? You're so creative. You got more creative things than we do. We need a book.
I don't know about that. I have my own personal rhythms of things, and we've tried to modify some of those for our kids. And in different stages, I'm a little bit like, I like a routine for a while, and then I don't like the routine. I want a new, and I want a new routine. I don't want to ever. I like to keep it fresh, keep it popping, keep doing something, keep moving, keep changing, but always having some sort of strategy for life, for family, that we're working and trying to be on at all times of like, okay, how can we help our kids take a step towards Jesus today? So I don't go to the gym right now. I run. So 3, 4, 5 days a week, depending on the week. I'm running, today I ran 8 miles. The 2 previous days I ran 5 miles. I'm training for a marathon. So that creates a rhythm, but I also have a rhythm of like, when I get up and, how do I, what's the first thing I do? Okay, I'm going to engage scripture. So I'm going to read at least a verse, I'm going to have my devotion time of doing that. I have my daily affirmations, which are, my things, a list of what I say. And I have 60 different things from God's word that I say or speak over my life. And I either
tell us about that thing you do with the kids.
We modified that for our kids because I wanted them speaking God's word over. So we've done it different.
So good.
We've done it different ways over the years. I mean, back in the day, we printed a card and put it on the refrigerator and they said it. And then it morphed into cards, like index cards, and they write out, I am a child of God. God has a plan for my life. All these various, I am saved by the cross. Just all these different things that they'd say based on their age, but now what it's morphed into is I actually recorded a little clip for the younger 2 kids, for Lincoln, who's just starting kindergarten, and Trinity, who just started 6th grade. I recorded based on their age. So Lincoln's, it's short. Trinity's, it's a little bit longer. It's got a little bit more things. And I have a moment where I say, I am a child of God. And then he will repeat that. And I give a space for him to repeat that. I added music to it. I mean, again, I'm super creative and able to do the tech side of that. So you can modify that based on how anybody could do it. And he just has these statements he says every day, and he knows them. So at the first he needed the repeat time. Now he says it with me. So the repeat time, he's like, I want this to be faster, Dad. So as they get older, we're going to add more to that, and they just repeat that. I added music. His sounds like superhero music, and Trinity sounds more, whimsical or something. But I also did that for myself. I recorded my own voice saying them. So if I'm on the run, I'm on the go, I'm getting in a car and I got to drive somewhere, I can listen to them. If I'm running, literally, I can listen to them. They're about 5 minutes long of me saying all 60 of these things, but I also will read them and say them myself some days. Again, it's all part of like, how do I add this routine? How do I freshen it up? And so that's one of the things we do when it comes to the morning, of just taking advantage of, like, we set the direction of the day. Like we're going to tell our day where we want it to go every day. If we wake up and we don't feel like it, we're going to tell our day how we want it to go today. If we do feel like it and we're feeling great, we're still going to tell our day where we want it to go today. Just kind of like, that's our rhythm of, no matter what it looks like, our goal is like at the beginning of the day, we have to choose what we feel like. Again, we can't know what's going to happen today, but we're going to choose our attitude to go into the day. And so that's one of the things we do for that in particular when it comes to the morning.
I think what you said was so good. Just being, I think if it's such an important way to give our lives structure.
Yeah.
Is not to be balanced. You're never going to find it.
Yeah.
Especially if you have kids. I mean, the moment you find it, you're going to have to pivot. And I just think that if we could find rhythms, what you said was rhythms.
Yeah.
So we're about to enter a new rhythm of our life.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I'm honest with you, PJ, I'm nervous because we felt like we've been able to find some level of healthy rhythm with our family, and we're taking a chance adding a sports element to their life. And again, I'm pro sports. I grew up playing sports. I think you need to have someone else in your life telling you things other than your parents. Someone needs to be yelling at my kids other than my parents. My parents, or me as their parents, or we believe in the raised by a village. I modify that, a healthy village. So I limit the village who speaks into my kids, but there needs to be other people. And I think there's a healthy version of that. I'm trying to figure that out. I have 5 of them, so my life is not the same as somebody who has 1. So the danger for me is to compare my life, who I have 5, to someone who has 1, and he's got every sport and they're able to walk it out. He's doing 4 different curriculars. Or me, my life, even if I had the same amount of kids, compare my life to someone, like I can't compare my life to you. You have a girl who's in college. You have a kid who's in college. You have all the way down to someone who's in kindergarten. They're girls. I don't know what it's like to have a girl. I couldn't, so there's so many rhythms that I think, in nuances, like I said, be artistic. I said this last week, you have to figure out your kids. Some of them are going to need to be, and I said it in the sense that, the touch, so talking about loving and appropriate touch for your kids. But I think like that goes the same thing to me as spending time with them or developing them.
Absolutely.
Or what they need in their life. So.
That's good. I think that's good. Yeah, it is. You do have to know them. Each kid is different. I'm not going to treat them all the same. Each family is different because we're built on different values. And like I said, we change over the years. We're doing different things over the years that might work for us. Hey, we're going to read this during, this time, and we're going to, look at these scriptures during this time.
Hey, I have a question for you then.
Yes.
I didn't prep you for this question, but it just kind of came to my mind.
All right, let's do it. If you're joining us right now, we are talking about daily routines, morning, evening, just in case. I know some people just jumped on, but that's what we're talking about. Go ahead, Pastor.
But you've had some time to reflect on having a child out of your house now.
Yeah.
And as you look back on your life with Kat, Trinity, Lauren, and Lincoln, what would you say would be your, I try not to speak of it as more regrets, but what would you say if you could go back? Have you highlighted anything in your life where you're like, if I could have done something different, I would have done this differently?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, man, it's a deep question because, we all have regrets. We all, it is what you said, like we never feel like we spent enough time. We didn't ask the right questions. We didn't prepare enough. We didn't, do enough, be enough. It's something I struggle with, is like, I didn't do enough to prepare you. I didn't do enough to, love you in the way you needed to be loved. And I think you can, I know for me, myself, my personality, I can really beat myself up over that. But what it causes me to do is like, hey, I'm going to, it's not like, hey, I have a do-over. I'm going to continue to strive to fight for that relationship. I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to fight for each one of my kids, fight
Yeah.
for time with them, fight for moments with them, fight for connections with them.
Yeah.
I love something I heard Andy Stanley say. He's like, you want to raise your kids in a way that they want to go away when it's time to go away, but they also, like, as in like go out on their own, yet you
Yeah.
also want to raise them in a way and love them in a way that they want to come back, not to
Yeah.
stay,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be a part of your life, to be in there. And I think we've done that. And so, but again, that regrets is like, there's seasons of life where I was not healthy. I wish I would have got healthy quicker. I wish I would have had people speak into my life, mentors. I came to a point, but by the time I came to that point, time was gone.
Yeah.
So, like, not to make people feel guilty as they're hearing this, it's like, but like, start today, get healthy today. What's a
Yeah.
step that you can do to be healthy today? And I'm not there totally yet, but I look at it and I'm like, man, there was just a lot that I did that was not healthy rhythm.
Yeah.
It did not have healthy rhythms. It did not have healthy boundaries. It did not have healthy conversations.
What did you? What? Let me flip it, and then what did you do right? What do you say? Like,
I think
I do this again.
Yeah, one of the things we did is we still do this, is one of our rhythms is we try to have, I rotate through each one of my kids like a daddy, what we called it when it was just girls, is daddy-daughter date. Um, you know, where we spent time with just them, just investing into them. Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, just did that with Trinity this week. Put away my phone. Like, hey, what do you want to go eat? You want to go eat? Oh, Taco Bell. Okay, we're going to go to Taco Bell. I don't want to go to Taco Bell. Like, you want to go to Taco Bell? Great. Someone at church had given her a gift card, so she got to pay this time, which was, flip it upside down. Couldn't eat in the thing, so we went to the park and we just talked. And I listened to her, and I made her feel important. And I loved her in the way she's physical touch. So it's just like, let me hold your hand while we walk down the path. Let me put my arm around you. Let me love you. Let me hug you. Let me ask you questions, and you'll have silly things to say. And I'm going to listen, and I'm going to be engaged with that. I've done that with all the kids. I do that with obviously, date night with my wife, but I look at it as like, I want to date my kids too. I know that could sound weird to some people. I don't really care if it sounds weird in a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, you just have your broken family then. That's okay. Like, we have to do some things that are a little weird to get, if you want not normal results, you got to do not normal things. And so investing into them in each way that they hear, to listen, to try to be interested in what they're interested in their whole lives. Yesterday, in this past week, is we discovered on Google that you can get dinosaurs and make them 3D in your room. You Google whatever dinosaur and you can click view in 3D and you can put it in your living room. And we just did that for hours, Lincoln and I. And then he's like, what about sharks? Can you do this with sharks? Well, apparently you can do that with great white sharks. So there's a great white in our living room, and velociraptors and T-Rexes. And so just like finding what interests them and be interested in that, so that later they're willing to talk to you.
Yeah, man, that's great. Yeah, that's really good. So I think that's just all comes back to rhythms of just finding places. You have to make time for your family. Yeah. It's not going to come to you. I think that one of the things I heard from our sermon last weekend is just, I think, the conviction about time.
Yeah.
Is that, like, because I know people are like, well, I'm home now and I get to spend a bunch of time with my kids. Do you? Like, Are you really? Like, just because you're home doesn't mean you're present.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's the danger now, is like, wow, I'm home now and I'm home. But then you're always on your computer. You're always on your cell phone. You're always looking down. And I try to think of it like this. I'm trying to train my mind. I have to retrain my mind to get a dopamine hit when my son calls my name, rather than when my phone calls my name.
Yeah, that's right.
And I want to, and I have to train that. I have to work on that. So I want to be present and not feel like I have to, because not everybody's going to work right now in offices, but we're still chasing the same carrot.
Yeah.
That's outside of our reach all the time,
Maya asked a great question. She said, I joined in late, so I might have missed it, but is there any advice on routines for single people living alone as opposed to families? I started struggling much more with what routines I have for myself and sticking to them once I was on my own.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of being on your own. Is you'll fall into. It's kind of like when you feel like you feel like you get out of the house for the first time and now you have freedom. You think that's freedom, but that's not freedom. That's actually
Mm,
bondage.
yeah.
And so you're the very thing that you hated actually gave you routine, which
Mm,
was authority in your life.
mm,
And so somebody had authority in your life because you lived under somebody else's roof and they said, hey, guess what? We don't do this, and we don't do this, and we don't do this. And you the whole time were like, well, let me just tell you, when I get out on my own, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then you get out on your own, you start doing it, and you start to realize, hey, I'm in bondage. Like, I have to create my own routines. And
yeah.
so my advice for Maya and for any single people would just be is like, one, I would lean into wisdom from people that are around you
Yeah.
and ask them to speak into it. And so I'd find a healthy rhythm for your life in terms of, and I think of it just in maybe buckets or categories. What's a rhythm for your health that you stick
Yeah.
to? What's a rhythm for your job that you stick to? What's a
Hmm.
rhythm for your recreation? What do you do for
Yeah.
fun? And
Yeah.
then what do you do for growth and personal growth? And then
Yeah.
create a schedule. I know that's terrible, but it's really what you're doing is doing what you're saying is telling your day what you're going to do, not your day telling what you're going to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
Maya,
don't even make.
we
Yeah.
did hit on that a little bit, just talking about, our personal routines and things we do. It's funny because we're both at the life stage where we're like, man, that would be great to be on our own. We would love, like, you go through a life stage of where we're at now. We're like, whoo, that sounds amazing, where I get to
Yeah.
set my own rhythm. And
I
that,
feel her though, because I
yeah,
remember that one
yeah,
time. I think it was a couple months ago. My wife took my kids to
yeah,
Nashville to go see her sister,
yeah,
and I didn't go. It was the first time since I was married and had kids
yeah,
ever
yeah,
where I was by myself for an extended period of time without my kids. I mean, outside of travel, but I was
yeah,
at home. And like I remember that first day waking up, like I don't, I don't know what to do. I created my life around
yeah,
everything else.
yeah, yeah,
So I feel you, Maya. I think that's what to me. I think of it a little like then that I think of it as opportunity. Like
yeah.
you have a great opportunity to lean into
Mm,
friends, family, and other families and be a part of other people's rhythms because you have the flexibility to do that.
so good.
And so I'll tell you what we did, and I know Pastor Jason did this too. When I was in your, I can't believe we're saying it like this, right? Like, what kind of people are we?
I was your
When I was your age, in your season, this is just me. This is descriptive, not prescriptive, which means this is just what I did. I threw myself at the church because I found so much life in spiritual family and I had the time to do it. So I worked 2 full-time jobs, and then I would just live at the church because it was like, what are we doing
Yeah,
next, Pastor? Where are you all going? I'll be there. What can I get? What do you do? And I did weird things like show up at my pastor's house and ask him if he needed anything. I mean, I was weird, so I'm not saying do that to me,
yeah,
but I'm just saying like I did everything I could to be involved with spiritual things because I had the time to do it.
mm,
And there was just nothing that I felt like I could give my life to that made me feel better about it. And I know that's the case for you. And I think you could do that even if you're not trying to be a pastor. Like you don't need to be in ministry or like that's not the
yeah,
point. The
yeah.
point I'm making is that like if you can make an argument to me of a better time, better place to throw your life at, I would love to hear it.
It's
I
good.
don't know what it is. And I know you did that too, PJ. Your whole life. I mean, that's what,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah,
And I wasn't trying. I was trying to be a politician.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Thank God I didn't do that. Huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, we are at the end of our time here. We're keeping it to 30 minutes today. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up, Pastor? We're right at 30 minutes, but we've got any closing arguments?
Pastor Jason, do you have any books you recommend on rhythms? There was that Win book, right? Is that a rhythm book? I know that I walked through that, but I'm more on time.
Yeah, that's more on time and when you do things. I think it's Daniel Pink talking about it. It's called When, like WHEN. It's understanding it could be a rhythm. It could be understanding how you're wired. Like, are you a morning person, or night owl or whatever's in between that two, just you know, walking through some rhythms you could have for your life as far as scheduling goes. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know of anything in particular books on that. I mean, I know, again, there's a lot that teachings I've heard on it throughout the years through mainly rhythms of family, but again,
Yeah.
you all do have rhythms of our own lives that we do, you know.
I think my final thought on rhythms would just be maybe the best piece of advice I could give anybody at that age is get around families right now who are healthy.
Yeah.
And find healthy families and do everything you can to be about their life. Because
Yeah.
what you're doing right now is you're giving yourself indications
Yeah.
and learning early on what it's like to be a
Yeah.
healthy family. All that stuff to me is caught more than it's taught.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great way to end that today. Well, we will be back next month for Pastor's Corner, have another great topic. Thank you guys for joining us.